Joe Biden, by the way, is a terrible, terrible leader, which is just one reason why, again, you're seeing people who are shifting from the Democratic camp to the Republican camp. One of those people, over the course of the last 24 hours, is pretty prominent, Dennis Quaid. So Dennis Quaid famously raised money for Barack Obama in 2008. As far as I'm aware, Quaid has been basically a lifelong Democrat. He now says that he's going to vote for Donald Trump.
What do you think of Trump?
I think I'm going to vote for him.
Really?
Yeah, in the next election. Yes, I am.
Are you ready for the blowback?
Well, yeah.
Which inevitably comes
well,
with Trump?
you know, I think in this election, everybody's got to, I think they're going to take a side or whatever, but it just seems to me, it just makes sense. I was ready not to vote for Trump until what I saw is more than politics. I see a weaponization of our justice system.
Yeah.
And a challenge to our Constitution, us as Americans, that I don't think we're going to have. And, you know, Trump is the most investigated person probably in the history of the world. And they haven't been able to really get him on anything.
He's not wrong. There are a lot of moderates and independents who are starting to believe this sort of stuff because, again, Joe Biden really, really bad at this. If you've been paying attention, you know inflation has been up 20% since Joe Biden took office in 2021. This is creating massive financial pressure for many Americans. And you know what? The government's going to keep on spending. Well, as the national debt skyrockets and fiscal irresponsibility gets baked into the cake, there's no better time to diversify your savings with Birch Gold. I've diversified my savings with gold from Birch Gold. You can too. Right now, when you invest in gold with Birch Gold, you'll receive a true collector's item. For the first time ever, the Daily Wire has collaborated with Birch Gold and created a limited edition of golden truth bombs. Yes, indeed. The only way to proudly display one on your desk or bookshelf is by making a qualified purchase from Birch Gold while supplies last. Our Daily Wire collectible truth bombs are made by U.S. veterans. These non-explosive collectibles, obviously, are a golden way to start explosive conversations. Birch Gold can help you convert an old IRA or 401k to a gold IRA with no money out of pocket. They have a 20-year track record, an A-plus rating with the Better Business Bureau, and thousands of satisfied customers. So what exactly are you waiting for? Text BEN to 989898 to claim your eligibility and get a free info kit on gold today. Text BEN to 989898 to own a piece of Daily Wire history with our limited edition Golden Truth Bomb. Make your friends jealous, enrage the libs. While you're at it, text BEN to 989898 today. And the most delicious story of the day. It's always funny when supporters of DEI get caught saying the truth about DEI. So, there is a person whose name is David Austin Walsh. And David Austin Walsh is an academic, and he put out a thread the other day talking about his problem getting hired. He says, I just published an academic book that is getting plaudits. I've written numerous peer-reviewed articles. I've written for the New York Times. I'm a talented teacher. My class has been very popular at every university I've taught at. Hell, I had a kid here at Yale try to enroll in my class this past semester because he heard through word of mouth my class at UVA was really good. But I'm 35 years old, I'm 4+ years post-PhD, and quite frankly, I'm also a white dude. Combine those factors together, and I'm for all intents and purposes unemployable as a 20th century American historian. I mean, I applied to something like 40 jobs this year, but all 4 of them were African-American and or race ethnicity positions. And despite my work explicitly being about white supremacy, I stand no chance of being hired for those positions. Uh-oh, he said the true thing. You're not supposed to say the true thing, which is that it turns out that affirmative action is a zero-sum game, which means that if you are talented and white, you are absolutely screwed if you are up against a slightly less talented black person in academia, for example, because diversity trumps merit every time at these universities. But this meant he then had to do a Maoist struggle sessions. That means that he has to put on the dunce cap and people beat him and such. So he says, quote, I want to apologize for that thread, which was a bad idea and came from a place of pain, anger, and frustration. It was fundamentally a breach of solidarity on my part. Thank you, sir. May I have another? We all know that history in particular and the humanities in general are dying. We all know that the university itself is a profoundly unequal and unfair institution. And we had an object reminder of that with the brutal suppression of the campus protests over the past month. We all know the academy is random, cruel, and chaotic. We all know the reasons why. Austerity, corporatization, right-wing assaults on higher education. Oh, you sad little man. Oh, you sad, sad person. So you said the truth about why you didn't get hired, which is that you're a white dude who's 35 plus and talented. And then when called on it, you're like, you know why I can't get a job? It's because of all the right wingers who run academia. It's because of their austerity and corporatization. Okay, can we be clear about the situation in college campuses? The DEI staff at college campuses has increased exponentially over the course of the last 20 years. A huge percentage of top university hires are no longer professors. They're administrators who who are dealing with all of this HR DEI nonsense. And then if a professor does get hired, you get all sorts of plaudits if that person happens to be a person of color. But this dude has to somehow twist himself into pretzels and stick his head up his own colon in order to come up with the conclusion that this is all a right-wing conspiracy to deny him a job. Well, I hope that he suffers an obscure unemployment, this guy. He deserves every bit of it. Because if you surrender to the mob and then you declare, like a character from Darkness at Noon, that you are in fact loyal to the same mob that is attempting to destroy you, you deserve every single thing that you receive. So again, slow clap for David Austin Walsh. What an absolute king among Wookiees. And again, is that going to earn him a job? Nah. They'll just take it, put it in their back pocket, say that he's still a traitor of some sort to their cause, and that and then he will be put in jail for the foreseeable future. So, really, really good stuff right there from academia. Meanwhile, I will say that pressure on academia is having some effect. Harvard now says it will no longer take positions on matters outside the university, which would be like a normal position for a university to take. If put into practice, according to the New York Times, Harvard would no longer issue official statements of empathy, which it did for Ukraine after the Russian invasion and for the victims of the October 7th Hamas attacks in Israel, for example. Well, I mean, actually, what it would mean is that they wouldn't put out expressions of sympathy for Hamas terrorists in conjunction with sympathy for Israeli victims, which is basically what they did. Like, we're sorry for everything bad happening in the Middle East right now. This would be correct, by the way, is they should stay out of all of it. They should stay out of all of it. But, I think that what really should happen at this point, there should be a serious look into a wealth tax on the endowments of these universities. All these universities are very much in favor of a wealth tax, by the way. It seems to me you should start with their endowments, their multi-billion-dollar endowments. We can claw all that back. And if you want to relieve student loan debt with that, why not use their endowments to do so, since they're the ones who have profited so heavily from their unemployable graduates in gender studies. Are you tired of the lies and the twists of the mainstream media talking points? Yeah, me too. Join me in my newest series, Facts, where I dismantle and bring truth to this tiring mainstream agenda.